Jumping into a musical career can be extremely difficult and intimidating. This week, I talk with Brody, a classically trained guitarist from Niagara, Ontario, about putting your heart into your work and diving into your project before you lose that spark. Welcome to Scheduled to Launch, a podcast to learn about projects you may have otherwise missed. My name is Zach, and today I'm going to be talking with somebody who I personally got to see grow over the past 13 years or so. He's a musician. He's an incredible guitarist whose songs I've been listening to on repeat for a little while now. Brody, thank you for coming on here with me, man.
And thank you so much for having me. I know I said this already before we started recording, but this is really awesome. I'm really glad that you're doing this. I'm really thankful that you're doing this too.
Oh, thanks, Brody. Yeah, so let's before we even get into the music and stuff, let's talk a little bit about you. Like, can you tell the audience a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, hold on. My phone just went off and I'm going to silence that. All right. Yeah, so a little bit about me. I am a singer-songwriter from Niagara, in Southern Ontario. I have been playing guitar for just over, oh my goodness, just over 15 years now.
Is that really it?
Yeah. I
Wow,
started when I was 12 and I'm 27 now, so 15 years.
it's incredible.
Um, and uh, yeah, and I've been singing in choirs for the last probably about 7 years or so. Um, and yeah, now I'm sort of putting the guitar experience together with the choral experience to do the whole singer-songwriter thing and write my own stuff and record my own music. So that's sort of what's going on. I went to university for classical guitar, so a lot of the stuff that I do is like sort of kind of like more classical harmony. Like it's very much influenced by that sort of thing, but and then the whole finger style thing because classical guitars play with the fingers. So yeah, sort of, but turning that into like a more mellow pop sort of sound.
Yeah, I gotta say you've mixed it really well together. Like I said, I've been listening to this thing on repeat since like last week when we first talked about getting you on. I wanted to really
Mhm,
dive in and listen to it, and
mhm,
it's incredible. Like you've got this beautiful, powerful voice that mixes really well with these guitars, and I think it's there. You have one song that I just absolutely love it. The Liar. I think it's an incredible
mm.
piece just altogether.
Thanks,
And
man. Thanks.
yeah, it's beautiful. It makes me really happy just to sit down and listen to that.
Mm, cool. Yeah, The Liar was a really fun project. It's like it's it's me playing acoustic guitar and singing on it. Um but I released a demo of that track on like a collection of demos called Little Prayers back in the fall of 2020, and then basically what the plan was to sort of show people what the songwriting process is like. Like you write a demo first, you record it, you have like, not the best sounding recording first. I mean, I did do some polishing on it, but usually it's a little bit, like lesser quality
Yeah.
than like a fully produced tune, right? So anyway, so yeah, so I reduced that. Um I released that as a demo, and then I reached out to some of my favorite musicians, like some of my favorite session musicians, and asked if they wanted to play on the track. And fortunately, they all agreed, much to my surprise. Um, like, so we've got a drummer who plays. His name's Jordan Rose. He plays with Theo Katzman of Wolfpack.
Okay. Yeah. I know them.
Yeah, so it's that drummer. We've got Nick Campbell on bass,
He's
who's
incredible. He's such a nice
incredible.
guy.
Dude, man, incredible bass player. Um, and then we have Ariel Posen, who is an incredible electric slide guitar player out west, from Winnipeg. Um, and he's doing his solo thing these days too, and just crushing it. And these are all musicians that I really admire, and to be able to collaborate with them was an absolute dream.
Yeah, and it really shows too. There's a lot of love in every single one of these pieces. Even the demos, you mentioned that there's this lower quality, and some of them you can tell the rust. There's some twanginess in the original version of the Lyre, and then it comes through with your full release. And the full release it's a total 180 in how full it sounds.
Mm.
And like I can really get behind that and just sit down and really take it in.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I mean, and that tune really, really means a lot to me too. I mean, like, it's about the lyre is this sort of like this way that you kind of see myself really as not, not someone who is a compulsive liar, but somebody who is struggling with a form of with mental health concerns, issues, whatever you want to call them,
Yeah,
um and sort of lying to people and saying no, like it's all right, like I'm okay, and just sort of pushing it down and just not sharing that. But at the very last line of the tune is oh my goodness, I forget my own lyrics now. Um, Hold on. What's the last line? Oh yeah, the last line is but I've grown tired of living life a liar, so here goes. It's that sort of like letting it all out now. It's like, okay, I've hid this for long enough. Like let's be open about it. And I think a lot of people who are struggling with with any like mental health problems.
mental health and
um
imposter syndrome and all
right.
those really heavy
um
things.
mhm. um Anybody really struggling with that, I think, can sort of relate to that kind of experience.
And I think a big thing on that specific track too. I know we've been talking about it for almost 5 minutes already, but I think a lot of people can listen to that song and really absorb the message without reading too deep. With the pandemic currently hitting everything like that, like people are feeling these heavy emotions,
Mhm.
and we kind of unfortunately we have this stigma to l- lock it up and throw away the key. I think
Yeah.
you say in one point, but
Mhm.
you can kind of see how people people are trying to open up and just we're not supposed to in society. That's what we're told. So this song really resonates with a lot of people, I think.
Mhm. Mhm.
So speaking of which, on like a little bit more of a positive note, how has COVID treated you? Was that like kind of I don't know what you were doing during that, if you were in school, or has this been a time where you can just sit down and write music and punch it out, or is this like a step towards doing what you want, or
Yeah, so I mean, I was laid off from my job in oh, my dog is very upset. Uh
oh, yeah.
yeah, I was laid off from my job in April, I believe, of 2020. I've since returned. But I was off for quite a while, and that's when I did most of this writing was doing that. So yeah, the during the pandemic, I sort of turned to the guitar and singing and doing the songwriting thing, just as a way to kind of pass the time and a way to kind of express myself. Um, and yeah, I just found myself in a state of having, just this constant flow of ideas, and I'm still writing. and still have unreleased music to put out too. So it's definitely been a super creative time for me, and I'm actually really 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 thankful to have had this sort of time to pursue this dream.
Yeah, actually, one of the ones that I believe you released it uh, as of recording, I think it was yesterday, but in my prime,
Mhm.
which is such a stark contrast to some of the other songs when it comes down to the upfront meaning, at least.
Mhm.
And just seeing like how people have interacted with you on social, showing pictures of them in their prime has been so
Yeah.
much fun.
Yeah, that's been super cool. Yeah, so today I posted a thing on Instagram, um for just to kind of like, kind of help to promote the song, but also just really to see like, fun pictures from people's past. So yeah, like I just tagged it with the hashtag in my prime, and like, you know, um posted a picture of me back in like
You were a
in the
baby.
glory days. Oh my god, without
You
the
were a
beard, man.
baby.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have a fake mustache on and the whole nine yards.
It's
So
I think I saw that picture during your graduation, actually, the first
uh,
time. I think that
probably.
came up during your grad ceremony, and it
uh,
was funny then, and I saw it again, and I got another laugh out of it, so
yeah. But yeah, it's been really fun seeing people's submissions. Um yeah, and I've just been sort of sharing them as well for other people to see. But yeah, there's been some really great stuff. Pictures that are uh, either really flattering or pictures that are really cringy, or and everything in between. It's been tons of fun.
yeah, it's been great to see just how positive the interaction is with people, and I know a lot of it when you start small, a lot of the times it's your friends, and then it's
Mhm.
your friends' friends. It starts to pick up from there,
Yeah.
and yeah, just like that constant expanse of interaction with new people is always great.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's sort of what I'm trying to do, is just have fun with it. And if people listen and people are engaged with it, that's a bonus.
100%. Now, you had mentioned that you are a classical trained guitarist,
Mhm.
and I've done this choir classical mixing with some pop. And I want to know why you went into that direction. Because 10 years ago, I thought you were going to go into kind of this jazz direction, actually,
Mm.
with your music, this jazz rock.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean like throughout high school I played guitar and bass, in like the concert band and in the jazz band. Um and and then I kind of, I went to school for something else, for like I went to school for accounting for a year and then hated it and then switched to
Yeah,
music.
I can't see you as an
Um
accountant. I'm sorry.
I know. Um, so yeah, like and it was just kind of like, well, I want to stay at Brock University, and I want to stay in Niagara. So what are my options for music? And the option was classical guitar. They didn't have like a pop program or a jazz program or anything. So I was like, well, okay, I'll take some classical guitar lessons, do an audition, and then kind of went with that. So that's sort of how I got into classical. It was kind of like,
It's almost like your hand was forced. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I ended up falling in love with the classical guitar. I think it's a gorgeous sounding instrument. It's I just get absorbed by it whenever I play, like solo rep.
It's so clean compared to other instruments too.
It is. It has a really pure sound. But also like the range of tone on the instrument is just incredible. Like you can get so many, very harsh sounds out of the instrument too. So but yeah, so I did that, and then towards the end of my degree, I kind of picked up the electric guitar again, and I had a few gigs. One of them was playing in like in a pit band for a musical. I ended up
Okay,
doing
that's pretty cool.
yeah, so I ended up doing a couple of those gigs, which is tons of fun. Um,
I'm sure it's
and
very different too than just performing on stage.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, it's kind of cool because no one can see you, so you can kind of like just really focus on playing the music to the best of your ability, and you can just have fun and like crack jokes with the other musicians in the band. Um and in the experiences that I had, both bands were super small. Like the one was, or they were both four-piece bands, so super super small. And uh yeah, it just a real sort of like intimate group, which was tons of fun. And then that led to just other gigs. Like I play in like a 1970s era Genesis tribute band. um
Really?
yeah.
Oh, what's the
uh,
name? You gotta tell me that.
the name of the band,
Oh, yeah.
oh, it's just we just sort of put on a show like once every couple
Ah,
years.
okay.
Yeah, we don't have a real, it's like a Phelan and Phelan production is what is what it's called. But yeah, we just do like a tribute to a certain year's tour that they did in the 70s.
Okay, that's really
Yeah.
fun. I really
Yeah.
like that.
So that sort of prog rock thing uh used a lot of my classical training, because um that sort of style was really prevalent in prog rock, with very like classical form, and just sort of like chord shapes and stuff. Just what happened to, that just sort of happened to be in the case of the music by Genesis. But um yeah, and then I played a couple gigs at a jazz club. So I did some jazz guitar a little bit. I wouldn't really call myself a jazz player though. um like I know my jazz chords, but I'm not really.
Not your thing anymore?
Yeah. So basically I've done a bunch of stuff, and that sort of reflects like my listening habits too. Like I just listen to anything I can get my hands on. And um I guess like how that sort of plays into the music that I write. I mean, I sort of try to take from as many genres as possible, and sort of think about, okay, what's the form, the overall structure of this tune. What's some of the harmony that they're using.
And
um
how can I make it mine?
exactly, yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's been really cool kind of experimenting with writing songs and finding my voice. But yeah, it's been really cool. And like I feel like every experience that I've had has kind of led to this.
Yeah, it's a steady build, and I
Yeah.
mean, you're still super young, and
Mhm.
you got a lot ahead of you.
Yeah, and I just started too, like I've only been
Mhm.
doing it for like maybe like not even a year. um and yeah, it's just I'm trying to get as much original music under my belt, and just keep writing. And yeah, when I'm in a rut, I try to listen to new music and get some ideas, return back to my influences like Theo Katzman, John Mayer, that sort of thing. And um,
Speaking of original music, you
yeah.
have one song that I find very fun that I did not expect. Christmas to Me. It's so I know we're out of season. It's such a different vibe from a lot of the other Christmas music that you hear on there. It
Yeah.
100% deserves to be in everybody's song rotation. What brought you into
Cool.
this direction? Was that more of the choir classical training, or how'd that come to be? Can you tell me about that one a bit?
Okay, so I really like this podcast called My Brother and Me.
Ah, I love you got me into Mabim Bam.
Oh, excellent. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I told you about Adventure Zone and all that.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Okay. So a couple years ago, they did this bit around Christmas time, where like they did this segment that was called "That's a Christmas to Me," and they were making fun of like, like Christmas songs and saying like, yeah, like whatever, like whatever makes it feel like Christmas to them. So the song started out as a joke. Um, I was like, yeah, like I'm just sort of riffing here, and then what's the chorus going to be? Or like the sort of tag throughout the verse, and I was just like, you know what, screw it, let's just do it. Let's just call it "That's Christmas to Me." And I just got thinking about, okay, what are the things that make it Christmas to me? And then I just kept the harmony super simple, like a Christmas song should be. And yeah, just sort of had fun with it, and it just kind of flowed, and I think I wrote the song in like a couple hours, maybe.
It doesn't
Uh,
feel like it because there's like choir bits and
yeah, so that like again, I sort of wrote out the guitar and vocal part, but then I sent it to my friend who's like an orchestrator and arranger, and she like wrote it for strings and horns and choir and all this stuff. So she came up with all these parts, and then I just reached out to I have a number of musical friends. Just reached out to them. I was like, "Hey, if anyone wants to be a part of this tune, shoot me a message." And the response was overwhelming. We got a ton of people, and we just had an absolute blast with it. It was yeah, it was lots of fun.
yeah, it feels it too. Like you can tell there's a lot of as simple as it is, it's very, very fun the
Yeah,
entire way through.
yeah, yeah. That was a real pleasure to write, and it was kind of nice because some of the other stuff that I write is like a little bit sadder.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
get that vibe, man.
yeah. So it was nice to write something that was a little bit more uplifting. I was in a good mood that day.
Yeah, you actually mentioned it there. A lot of these feel like they have some really deep personal connections
Mm,
that stem from real life experiences. Would you? The first time I listened to that song, I kid you not, I was almost moved to tears.
mm. Thanks, man. Yeah.
Yeah, they just feel like they have this. You can tell you're writing from your heart.
Mm. Yeah, the songs on Little Prayers especially are really personal, and like I was really just kind of it was coming from a place of a lot of like a lot of self-doubt and anxiety, and depression, and the writing those songs sort of helped me through a lot of that stuff, and just a way to kind of to get it out and write. And I just found that as I wrote, this sort of like this kind of rhyming scheme sort of came out of it. And that's always something that I do just throughout the day. Like I just kind of like sing joke songs, or like turn sentence or something somebody said into a song.
Yeah,
Um,
you make
and
music a part of your life.
yeah, yeah. And this was just part of my life. And um, yeah, I wanted to put that into a song, and it just sort of felt right.
Here's another one. I noticed that a lot of this, you mentioned it too, that you're releasing as singles over building up and doing an album. Is that more so just that's your preferred method, or you're excited to get them out there, or just albums too much work?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is my lack of patience. um, it's it's one of those that like I get really excited about. Okay, I've got a new song. I just really want to share it with people. So like, let's record it. Let's get it out there. I have a really hard time like waiting. So I do have a few more singles that are recorded and mixed and ready to go, that aren't released yet. But I think I'm gonna still release those as singles over the next few months, and then maybe compile them into a full length record. and I am still working on full versions of all the other songs on Little Prayers too. So those are coming as well. Um, Sort of more polished recordings and filled out a little bit with sort of a larger instrumentation. Yeah, it honestly, it is just like I just get really excited about having a new song, having something new to share, and then just get it out there. Like it's taking honestly, it's taking everything I have to not release like the next song today. Like I just put out a song like 3 days ago, and I already want to put out another one. Because it's
Yeah,
there, and.
yeah, it makes me super happy to hear that you're so excited to get this music out here to people and just give them something that they can sit down and listen to and just digest. And
Mm,
hearing you being so excited to just throw these things out into the aether there and just get as many people that want to devour that content. It's really exciting for me just to sit back and watch.
mm, yeah, yeah. Well, thanks, man. Yeah, I'm having a blast doing it, and I think that's sort of what's been keeping me going is like it's just fun to write songs, even though the songs are like sad sometimes. I still enjoy writing them and doing the process, going through the process of recording, and then I've been getting into mixing and mastering lately. So doing all that, and now I'm trying to um, record some video and get that side of it going out too. So I'm just sort of testing the waters, trying out a bunch of different things, and seeing what sticks.
Yeah, it also seems like you've gotten the chance to meet some really interesting people or at least work with them.
Hmm. Yeah, man. Like, okay, so my sort of like I don't know, it's not really a motto, but my new lifestyle, I guess, has been like just like what's the worst that can happen? Like I I admire a lot of musicians. And I'll just message them on Instagram or like add them as a friend on Facebook. And like if they respond, cool. If not, cool. Um, but that's led to a ton of collaboration. Like I would have never thought that I'd be releasing a track with Jordan Rose playing drums. Like he's one of my favorite drummers or like live drummers, favorite session drummers like of all time. And to say that he's on one of my songs is just incredible. And like we've had conversations and video chats, and like we've just talked about music and other things. Like it's more than just a transaction.
There's a
Like
connection there. There's a
yeah,
bond.
yeah. So like that's just been unreal. To say that like yeah, like I've chatted with Ariel Posen. I've chatted with Jordan Rose. I've chatted with other musicians that I really like, and have also had the chance to you know write a song with them, and like have them kind of validate my music and be like, this is a cool tune. Like I actually really like this, and I'm willing to put my name on it.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be a great feeling. Just all in all,
Mhm.
I can only imagine. You mentioned just diving into it. I think I told you this, but we were casually chatting, and I decided that this this entire podcast was going to happen. So that was a week ago, and here we are now.
Dude, that's the best way to do it. And I said it yeah, before we hit record. Like you got to strike while what's the saying? Strike while the iron's hot.
Strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, like you've got the initiative, you've got the spark that's there. Take advantage of it. Just do it. Like um the whole reason why I released Little Prayers back in the fall was like I was having a conversation with a close friend of mine, and I was like, "Man, I think I'd like to, maybe put out some music at some point, but like I don't have anything written." He's like, "Well, just do it. Like just sit down and work towards it. Like you can release some music. Like you just take some time and write it." Dude, 2 weeks later, the EP was out. Like
That's
I wrote
that's so fast.
I wrote every single song on Little Prayers in a week and recorded it and released it. Like, but if I wasted, or not wasted, if I waited and didn't go right away, didn't sit down at the guitar and write lyrics and write chords and all that stuff, and then record, if I had waited and then sort of waited until the songs were totally polished, the songs would never be released, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't be here.
That ember could have died out a lot earlier.
Exactly, yeah, yeah.
So there's probably some people listening to this who are really wanting to release their own stuff. And I know you said just do it, but what about the people who are starting like right at the ground? Like what's your advice to them? Those people who've never held a guitar before.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, for if you've never held a guitar before, but you wanna start guitar, I mean, think about why you wanna start the guitar, um, and think about who your influences are, who you like to listen to, what is inspiring you to do this, because that is what's gonna keep you going. Um, like I wanted to quit guitar after taking lessons for, like, a year, and, I mean, thank goodness I didn't, because I love it now, but I had to remind myself that, no, I want to do this. I this is something that really matters to me because it feels like something I have to do. And I think if you have those influences and you can hold on to that inspiration, you can hold on to that spark that makes you want to do it, whatever it is, then I think you'll always have the drive to continue doing it.
That's some incredible advice, especially as somebody who has picked up and put down the guitar probably close to 30 times in the past 10 years. Every week I promise myself I'm going to learn the guitar and I never
Mm.
touch it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's getting close to the end of our time here. So, Brody, where are some places that listeners can find you at?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, whatever. Um, the name is just Brody, Brody. Or you can check out my website, brodymusic.com. I've got links to everything there. Or you can check me out on Instagram, Brody_S, and shoot me a message, and yeah, let's chat.
For those of you not paying attention, we're going to link those in the description below.
Cool.
All right. Well, once again, thank you so much for coming on, Brody. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I really look forward to seeing you in the future.
Dude, thanks so much for having me. I'm honored to be here. This has been tons of fun.
Yeah, it's been great. So remember, everybody, Brody's going to be releasing some stuff. He is scheduled for launch soon. Have a great night. Take care of yourself. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Scheduled for Launch. If you'd like to talk to me, you can find me on Twitter at Scheduled for Launch. Thank you to Malik as well for helping me out with my logo. His Twitter handle is @HamAllKid. You can catch his streams on Twitch. If you want to come to the show, you can contact me on Twitter as well, or you can email me, which should be in the description if I set this up right. While I still get things going up and running here, I'm not totally sure how consistent the uploads are going to be, but I promise you I'm going to work hard and try to get them to you as soon as possible. Stay wonderful. Take care of yourself. Have a good night.